Hello everyone and welcome to the first World Series event of 2016. Today the ladies are entering the foray here at the glass court at Grand Central, so Vanessa and I are going to be commentating on all of those matches. I mean, it's been very interesting, hasn't it, Vanessa? In the last sort of season we've had a triumvirate of competitors sort of vying for that number one spot. And it's been chopping and changing a bit. I mean, how do you see that going in this tournament, but also throughout the year?
Well, there's probably a group of maybe 4 or 5 that are sort of winning tournaments. Obviously, Massaro, she had 2 big wins just before Hong Kong, US Open and Qatar. Nicole's big return to form, obviously, in Hong Kong. And then, Renee Malwilili, she was world number 1 for most of the first half of the season. So even though there's maybe only 4 or 5 that you can see winning big tournaments, it's very, very close between that group and very hard to pick winners out of those few.
Well, we saw Laura Massaro winning the first couple of World Series events, didn't we, of the season. Do you see her continuing that form now that she has actually got that number 1 spot?
I don't think it will faze her that she is world number 1. I think she's ready to get there. She's not sort of a younger player who's hit some really good form and got to world number 1 almost a little bit too early. She's really ready to be world number 1, and I think she'll handle that pressure very, very well. Whether she'll win this tournament, that's a big question. I think Nicole David obviously was looking very good.
She was on fire, wasn't she?
She really was. I mean, she absolutely powered through that draw, which is something she used to do regularly, but we hadn't seen that from her for a while. So I think she's looking very good. Renee Malwilili, I mean, she's just always very difficult to predict what
Defending
she's going to do.
champion here as well.
Defending champion and playing well. I would say she's probably the best player on the tour, but she's not the most consistent player on the tour. Okay. That's probably been Massaro. So all 3 are sort of very good, but very different, and have their own qualities, I think.
Yeah, they certainly have. I mean, we're in a magnificent venue here, aren't we, in New York. So many people going past. The atmosphere is just incredible. Yesterday in the men's matches, there were a couple of moments where the roof almost came off when Todd Harrity got that game in his match against Faraz Dazuki. We've obviously got some big American interest here. We've got Amanda Sobey, who's got into the top 10, and we've got Olivia Blatchford, who's also qualified. So, I mean, what do you see for those 2? But also, what do you see in terms of the atmosphere and what can we expect?
Well, it's a lovely opportunity for Amanda Sobey to show how well she's been playing in front of a home crowd, and there's no better crowd really in the world than the Tournament of Champions crowd. They're very vocal, very enthusiastic. There's always a really good atmosphere. I think that'll bring out the best in Amanda Sobey. She's got a first round draw against Dion Safri, who qualified, and then if I look ahead, I think she's due to meet in the second round, so that'd be El Walili if she gets through. So that's a very
that's one hell of a match, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, no pressure on her. She's playing against the top seed, and both great to watch. So it'll be a lovely match for the spectators. We've got Laura Massaro playing Blatchford. That's a really tough first round draw for Olivia. But again, no pressure on her, so I'm sure she'll play well, and she's shown that she likes playing in front of big crowds.
Well, she's going to have a big crowd here, isn't she, behind her? So they'll be roaring.
Well, she's from New York. I think they both are from New York originally, so they should have a very good home support.
Yeah, I think so. Also, we've obviously seen a number of younger players coming through, haven't we, over this past year. Who do you think will make the biggest impact here at this tournament and maybe in 2016 as well?
I think Gohar's probably one to look for. She is in the top 10 already. She's only 18.
World Junior Champion.
World Junior Champion, and she's really made that transition very, very easily, it looks like. She's been making quarterfinals, semi-finals quite consistently, really. She's got a really interesting second round if she gets through. She could potentially meet Joelle King, who's obviously been coming back from injury and been...
She loves it when people say that, Joelle.
She can use that for a little while longer, I think. Yeah, we can just about still mention it. But they're quite similar, aren't they, Gohar and King, in that they both play a really ferocious pace.
Yeah,
hard.
I mean, it's going to be fast and furious, isn't it, that match?
Absolutely. It's going to be a real sort of battle for who can open up an opportunity to take the ball in short and who can do that well. But yeah, that could be a really tight second round, one to watch for the spectators.
There's obviously been a lot of interesting debate over sort of 2015 coming into 2016 with the ladies playing on the lower tin as well. So instead of the 19-inch tin that was traditionally used, it's gone down to 17-inch tin. What sort of impact do you think that's made on the game? Because we've been watching a lot of squash, haven't we? And I've heard so much debate. It'll be just. What do you think?
Well, we talked about it quite a lot when it first happened in the first tournament. I think it was at the US Open.
Yeah, in Philadelphia.
And since then, we've barely mentioned it really because it hasn't been that noticeable. I don't know if you've found that, but I've almost forgotten about it really because I don't feel like there's been a big change in the way the girls play, and the length of matches, length of rallies, things like that haven't really changed that much. So I think it was a good move. Obviously playing on the same level, tin as the guys now, and it hasn't had a big impact on the women's game. It's still very attacking as it was before.
Or if anything, even more attacking, isn't it?
Yeah, but not in a bad way. Not no. in the rallies have become too short, or the match lengths have become too short. So I think it's been a good move, but to be honest, I haven't been thinking about it while I've been watching matches.
No, and we've had some big finals as well, haven't we? I mean, Qatar was a big final, US Open in Philadelphia was a big final, so I think it's been positive for the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we thought maybe that it would have that it would help those really attacking players that like to take the ball in short, and that players like Nicole David, maybe even Massaro might struggle, and they haven't. They've adapted to it well. We saw obviously Massaro and Nicole, if anything, have been the two informed players so far, winning the last 3 tournaments. So.
Well, we're actually just coming to January, obviously, the first week. Have you made any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Oh, I thought you'd be bettering yourself. Thought you'd be like the world-class players. You've just given up on that these days.
I used to, but then.
Or are you already perfect?
Oh God, well, obviously. But I've found from the past that if I make New Year's resolutions, I then don't stick to them and feel bad.
And then feel
myself,
bad,
so I
right?
just don't
Okay.
do it anymore.
This is probably best. This is a good tactic. And then one last question. This tournament here, the Tournament of Champions, who's your 2016 winner?
I am going to go with David. She just looked so good in Hong Kong. I think she needed that win to get a bit of confidence back. She's been looking pretty good all season actually, even though she wasn't winning tournaments. She was only losing very tight matches. So I'm going to go with a David and a Massaro final.
Right, okay. I mean, it's such a tough one to call, isn't it? I honestly believe that any one of the top 3 can win this. I think it's all going to be about who prepared the best over the break, who's going to come out strongest. We've already seen in a lot of the matches, there's some players that are suited really well, there's some that aren't. So I think it's going to be a really tough call. But if I'm going to go for anyone, just to be a bit different as well, I'm going to go for defending champion, a return to form for Raneem El-Walili. So that's what I'm going for. We shall see indeed.
What are we putting on it?
A coffee and a tea.
Oh,
green tea for me, coffee for you. We're rubbish. This is about as exciting as we get, isn't it? So anyway, that concludes our little preview of the Tournament of Champions. Hopefully you'll enjoy many hours of watching the squash. I think it's going to be a great event, and who knows who's going to win.